Have you ever tried drawing anime faces, but no matter how hard you tried, they just looked off? Because I did. Therefore I wanted to fix that. I've spent an entire week studying how to draw better anime faces, breaking them down, practicing, and figuring out what actually makes them look so good and appealing. And in this video I'm going to share everything that I learned, the mistakes that I was making, the things that helped me improve, and how you can use them so your anime faces will look much better. So first let's talk about the shape of the head. And for that all we need is a basic shape that is a ball and a shape for our jaw, and that's it. Obviously when drawing from a side view we can use an egg and then add a simple jaw like here, and here a simple ball. And also what I've realized that the heads are actually bigger, the brain probably is much bigger, and what I like to do is actually place my eyes a little bit below the middle of the whole face, so this actually gives this look of much bigger head. But obviously you can play with these proportions. So I basically divide the whole head into thirds. So something like this. Boom. There would be a forehead and chin. And we have 1, 2, 3. And you can see here that this is the biggest one, this is medium, and this is the smallest one. And you can play with these proportions. So for example, here the middle part is actually medium or same size as forehead, and this here is much bigger. And playing with these thirds will give you a variety of looks. So from a side view, as I said before, you start with basically an egg. And then on the face we have this really nice flow. So basically it goes like that, then goes in, again out, in, out, in, out, in, and out. And you see this zigzag. That is the face. Knowing this will actually make your faces much more appealing. And also I like to start with this curve here, like you see here, instead of just drawing just a flat, you see, a flat line, because the face is a little bit curved. So the middle part is usually more forward protruded, and you can see if we do this, that we have like an arrow. Now from 3/4 view is actually pretty nice because you can show more of the form of the nose. So you can see here and here we have a little bit more of the nose, even here a little bit of overlap on the eye. And also I realized that it's actually pretty nice to start with a Loomis method of drawing heads and draw this ball on the side. And then this here curve will follow, and like that, boom, this here, and we have a simple face. We can obviously maybe make it a little bit wider, this down, and just fix some things. But yeah, for the most part we have basic head. Obviously for anime faces I like to actually make the chin a little bit more pointy, like this, and here this. Then we have a neck. Obviously this would be a little bit more like that. And then between the middle we have a line for eyes, then eyebrows, and then we can just sculpt the cheek. Here maybe a little bit curved like that, and we have a simple shape for face. Boom. And obviously if you want my brushes, that are for free in the description below, and with them you'll get 30 art tips that will help you improve your art in 30 days. Now also if you observe this, you can actually see that there's a little bit of similarities between the anime faces and actually cats. So pretty much we have this here. Boom, 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 boom. So I actually observed that a lot of anime faces actually reference a lot of cats. For example, here you can draw a simple face based on cats, maybe even eyebrows, then a nose and lips. So here you see that you have an anime face almost. You just then go erase it and draw the rest. But obviously you just want to still play with some proportions of facial features, make them a little bit longer, make the space here actually the same, but mostly from the side view you can reference it. That's what I did here. Now going to facial features, you want to pretty much simplify everything. So we don't really want to draw an eye like this, okay, as a symbol pretty much. We want to simplify it. So how can we do that? So first for noses, what I like to do is actually just place a simple dot in the line and maybe a simple shadow shape, like for the most part, like here, even here. It still looks like a nose, basically gives them the info that you actually need to see it as a nose. And same for mouth, I basically do either a curve, maybe sometimes 2 lines, maybe some corners of the mouth. For open mouth, I actually just do pretty much the same. I don't draw teeth, so pretty much a curve with some corners, boom, then another curve, boom, and we have it. We can also erase some parts, like here, and yeah, it looks like a mouth. Obviously you can do a hint of teeth, and obviously from like a side view, more 3/4 view, it's pretty nice to still add some more form of the nose. For example here, maybe here a dot would be, like here 2 lines is everything that you need and a dot. Obviously from side view you would see like the whole nose bridge. Now for eyes I pretty much do the 2 things, so either I erase the corners of eyes, so like here, maybe I can even erase this part here, or I just delete the whole lower lid. So for example here there is no lower lid, but I still put some eyelashes, and here we don't have corners, maybe here. And also what you can do is you can even erase the corners, so there's no corners of the eye. It would look like this, but now it looks better. So your brain is actually pretty good at just filling the information that it lacks. Also here where I saw that there are also 2 types of anime eyes. So for example, one is pretty sharp one and one is more curved. Okay, so this is more chill, this is more edgy. That's what I realize. So for eyes I just pretty much do an upper lid, sometimes maybe a little bit of lower one, either 1 line or 2 lines, same for the above. Then a simple iris, okay, maybe a little bit of shadow even, then some hard highlights, maybe some transitions, and then the upper lid with some more shadow and eyelashes like this. Boom. And then lower ones, boom, boom, super simple. And you actually see that this is the eye, maybe a little bit of here. So it's much more appealing to just group these eyelashes into one simple shape like that, and then add some more eyelashes like this, but still grouped into one curve, instead of drawing every single eyelash, which looks like a bug. But yeah, less is more. So next, let's go to what actually makes the faces appealing. And first thing that I realize is a small, medium, big rule. So pretty much we have a face, but one thing that we can do is make the facial features have different sizes. So for example, here we have smaller eyes than here, medium nose, and a pretty big lips, and the face still looks appealing. Now here we also have smaller eyes, but this time a bigger nose and medium lips. You can just play with these proportions. This will definitely make your faces more appealing. Obviously you can go even a little bit more extreme and just like make super big eyes. Boom. But still keep some sense. Boom. Add some details and it still looks alright. Maybe even a smaller nose like that, maybe a little bit lower. Boom, still looks good. But what you can also do is play not only with the facial features, but also with the thirds of the face. So here we can see that this one is smaller and probably forehead would be somewhere here. So big, medium, small. Obviously here we can make this here, maybe go a little bit lower. Boom, like that. Okay, still looks alright. Now it looks a little bit different, like some character from Demon Slayer, but it still looks alright. Now next, what I obviously realize is also using super simple shapes. For example, here you see we have one hair strand, then would be another one, boom. Then like this shape here, boom. Obviously the whole face is a simple shape. It just makes the faces much more appealing. And here you can still use the small, medium, big rule. So for example, you see that this part here is actually big. This here would be medium. Also here would be medium. And maybe this would be small. Same probably with this, boom, boom, boom. So big, big, medium, small. So yeah, make your shapes pretty simple. It makes it much more easier to draw, but also more appealing. Then I realized that it's actually pretty nice to, whenever you draw things, make the lines inside a little bit more faded and softer. Like here, you see that this line here is pretty dark, but also pretty harsh. Whereas the lines in the form here are much softer and more faded. Like here, like here, like here, and here, and here, and pretty much everything. And obviously use a different weight of brushes. That also goes hand in hand with this. So instead of doing everything with the simple same size of pen or opacity of pen, you just can have a really nice variety with this. You see that here there are some thicker lines, some thinner lines, boom. Here are some thinner, here there's thicker ones, thinner. Yeah, it's really good variety to have. Now let's go to hair, where we also want to simplify pretty much everything. And here we can simplify the face into pretty much like the front one, boom, maybe the sides, the back. Just keep it super simple and break it like maybe here. See here, one shape, boom. And we have another one, boom, shape. Here would be another one, and then one big like that. And you see this, this is super simple, 1, 2, boom. Same even here, it's basically something like that. Boom, 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 boom. But then we add just some smaller ones, some cuts in this, boom, boom, like here, boom, boom, a simple hair. So for hair, I always start with a simple outline first. So maybe something like this. So maybe strands here, like that, maybe something like that, maybe some here, boom, boom. Then maybe some like that goes behind it, boom. And then you have these parts. So this is front, there are sides, there's like a back. And yeah, but also make sure that you have small, medium, big rule still. So for example, here we have, this is smaller. This would be like a medium, big and big. Now same here, we have this part here, which is pretty big. Then we have some medium ones, then maybe some smaller parts. For example, here we have this pretty big one. There's smaller back, medium sides, another medium. Then we have more like this. Boom. Just break it into simple shapes, like here you see, boom, boom, super simple shape. Then another one, boom, then another one, boom. Even ears are simple, boom. Then you can just go and add some details later. And for hairs like this, where you have pretty much something like this, what you can do is just make some cuts, like for example here, okay, boom, we have one here. Make some also some bigger cuts, maybe another cut here, boom, like that, boom. Maybe even some hair that go out like this, boom, with a cut here, boom. Just have some variety. Maybe this actually goes a little bit further, like this, boom, boom. So for example, here you see this, we have one like that, boom, then this goes out, boom, this goes in again, in and out, boom. Just makes your hair less boring and adds a little bit of detail. And obviously use a lot of CSI curves. So here you see an S curve, here and C curve, some straight lines like that, another S curve, another C curve, boom, C, 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 boom. And maybe here even like an S curve, boom, line, line, line. It will make your hair have flow to them. For example, here we have, boom, an S and C, and also have flow. So for example, here we have one curve goes in, then other goes down, out. Same here, boom, in and out. Same here, boom, in, out, and then in, then out, boom, 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 boom. It just makes them look more intentional and appealing. Now, when it comes to expressions, there are a couple of things that we need to know. First, that the most expressions are made by just eyes and eyebrows. So pretty much changing eyebrows will make a whole new feel of the character. Same for example here. Now a surprise, maybe here even, boom, can make more angry, boom. Can also make these a little bit like that, boom, boom. It's much more angry. And here you see that we can also, the bottom eyelid use to show something. So for example, when you smile, you basically just push cheeks up. And also the more you see the whole pupil, the whole iris, the more surprised the pose will feel. So for example here, boom, make some a pupil here, just looks more terrified. But still, mouth can give you a lot of information still. So here you can really see that it's more angry, boom, but still using mouth can actually enhance it. So you can see that this is more happier expression, and the lower lid actually pushed the eyes a little bit up, so you see that it looks happier and not fake. For example here, if we push the lower lid a little bit up, higher, you see that it looks much happier, boom, rather than without it. So with, boom, 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 you see it. Now here, if we push the eyebrows much lower, boom, like that, maybe make them a little bit thicker, the pose will look angrier, and obviously a little bit like that. So here, this and that, this and that, boom. So yeah, using only eyes and eyebrows will give you a lot of information, but adding lips will actually enhance it. So yeah, if you're struggling with doing just in normal faces or even anime faces, you can check out my pre-sale of my course. That will be for half of the price until I just release it. Now if you want to learn more about drawing bodies for your characters, then you can check out this video here and it will help you. Also check out my Patreon for monthly tutorials. Bye.